It's a few minutes after 8 a.m. on Wednesday, September 3rd. I mentioned this in the last video that I did. I'm watching the press conference on the steps of the Capitol of survivors of Jeffrey Epstein. Republican leaders in the House are seeking to prevent release of any further documentation from the Epstein files. The documentation that was released yesterday by the House, 33,000 pages, less than 1% of the total volume of the Epstein files. 97% of those 33,000 pages were previously available publicly. Republican leaders in the House are proactively seeking to prevent the release of any further materials from the Epstein files. Donald Trump is threatening Republican members of the House to prevent them from voting for release of further documentation from the Epstein files. Trump and House Republicans are united in preventing further release of documentation from the Epstein files. Less than 1% has been released so far. Objectively speaking, if you still support Donald Trump in September of 2025, you support covering for Jeffrey Epstein and for Donald Trump, whose 1,000 FBI agents in March had to spend 3 weeks working 24/7 at Donald Trump's order, finding all of the locations in the Epstein files where Donald Trump's name appears. And then it was reported all of those instances were redacted. It took 1,000 people working 24/7 for 21 days to find all of the instances where Donald Trump's name appears in the Epstein files. It took 1,000 people 3 weeks to find everywhere in the Epstein files that Trump's name appears. And then the first weekend in July, DOJ was like, there's no client list. There was no evidence of blackmail. We're not doing any further investigation, and we're not releasing any more materials. In September of 2025, if you still support Donald Trump, you support pedophiles. You support covering up the evidence of the things that pedophiles do. That is an objectively factual statement. If you support what's happening right now, if you support this president and what he is doing in threatening Republican members of the House to prevent them from voting to release further materials from the Epstein files, you support covering up for pedophiles. I don't understand how you people can look yourselves in the mirror, man. I really don't.